I want to kind of cover for our own perspectives.
Okay.
An interesting topic, and it is religious related. So the main idea is actors actors who are Christians in Hollywood. Okay? There's a lot of actors that profess Christ, belief in Christ, right? Just to name a few, I mean, obviously you got Chris Pratt.
Yes.
You got Denzel Washington. You got Justin Bieber. He's not really an actor, but he's acted in a few things. All right. Selena Gomez, she's doing less music, more shows these days, right? Carrie Underwood, she's a music star.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, though, that profess Mark Wahlberg,
Yes.
Sean Austin.
Yeah.
Who's that dude who played on the 18 Kids movie? They got
Cheaper by the dozen.
not Cheaper by the Dozen, the other one, Yours, Mine, and Ours, the newer one.
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid, he's a Christian. There's a lot of people.
Mr. Quaid.
The guy that was on Friday, who's not doing a Friday
Chris
too.
Tucker.
Chris Tucker. There's a lot of people who are
Mr.
actors
Tuck.
that are in Hollywood. Some of them are in Hollywood. Some of them have left Hollywood
Yeah.
because they profess to be Christians. So the problem, I think there's a scenario that I think Christians always are talking about is like, how can an actor be in Hollywood, deep in Hollywood, and be accepted by Hollywood like Chris Pratt has? Do some of the movies and roles that are questionable and conduct themselves in a manner that are questionable? What's the dilemma here? And I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I think this is an interesting topic to get into because it is a dilemma. It really is because, you know, you look in Passengers. We had a half butt cheek sex scene with Jennifer Lawrence
With
Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
But he, on his Instagram and in any personal avenue that he puts online, he's very open about being a believer in Christ and going to church, and he has a church he goes to. He whenever his pastor writes a book, he says, "I'm reading my pastor's book." You know what I mean? So, and he's always on Easter and stuff. He's always posting pictures of crosses and stuff at his farm. So that's a dilemma, you know? And not to say that necessarily cursing is a sin. Some circles it is.
He drops the F-bomb in Guardians.
Yeah, no, he curses a lot for his movies. I don't know if he curses a lot in real life.
What did what part was that on?
Open the door. He said, "Just open the door."
I don't know if he curses a lot in real life, in his normal life, his personal life, but I mean he's doing a lot of cursing for his roles. So, and this is just like because he's super popular right now. And he's also a Christian. You can add anybody to this list. Denzel Washington.
He's also gotten hate, though. I know
He does get a lot of hate.
that someone at my work said they didn't like watching Chris Pratt stuff because of that.
So he gets
He gets
the
more hate than you think.
Christian stiff arm from a lot of people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that persecution. I would call that more of a stiff arming because it's not. It's like maybe verbal persecution.
Yeah.
I think there were people who were review bombing Mario Brothers because they don't like his religious stuff.
Yeah.
And so even if, all right, so then that's interesting. I want to tackle that as well. So if there's the dilemma there, what are you guys' thoughts on the dilemma? Also mixed with, what are your thoughts on people who are anti-Christian actor? That's pretty wild too. And almost these questions, they aren't opposites, but it's like one is like, how does an actor who's a Christian handle it? And one is, how are people who are just trying to watch someone do an acting job so critical because of their personal beliefs? You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on this? Surely you have thoughts.
I mean, it's always been interesting for like celebrities. People want to get into their lives, their drama, and almost like you see that with every interview. And this is not religious, but they're like, "Who you be dating these days?" or something like that, because they want to know.
Is that a black guy?
I don't know. I wasn't doing like a person.
Okay.
You said who you be dating.
Who you be dating these days?
Except it was more like, who you be dating these days.
I thought it was a good impression.
Hey.
Keep going.
Keep going.
So everybody wants to get into like celebrities' lives and see what they're doing, you know, their drama and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think if they're a good actor, why does it matter? Why does it
Right.
matter?
I have the same take. I mean,
Oh, well.
especially from
To an extent. I mean, are they Ezra Miller?
well, I don't think Ezra Miller professes Christ.
I mean, but
I think Ezra Miller is in fact a criminal.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I think that's different. I think
Different
that's
kind of. Different kind of.
Whereas
That's right.
you know, Ezra Miller professes certain pronouns.
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't read too much up on that. I don't know what his they pronouns. I don't know what his pronouns are.
Right.
I was trying to use I'm not good at it.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it. You don't have to be good at it.
But I think that's different. That's in a similar vein.
Yeah.
If that's part of your personal life, that shouldn't, the same way that shouldn't affect how you see, what he does in his as a character.
Yeah.
Right? Character
Yeah.
work is like, it's a good performance. It's emotionally and physically and like everything sound.
Mm-hmm.
Personal life doesn't matter as much as, Ezra Miller's out there committing crimes. So if you're a Christian and you're out there committing crimes,
We're taking multiple things into account.
right.
Not just that you're a
But
criminal,
I
but
would
also,
agree with what you say. It shouldn't matter if your performance is good.
So then the thought going into the dilemma for them personally, all right? How do you accept roles? And maybe where do you kind of draw the line and say, well, I don't agree with these people who's taken these roles? And how does a Christian, in your opinion, conduct themselves in Hollywood?
I think anything that falls under what you, I guess, morally don't want people to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So, okay, a shadowy sex scene between these characters that are alone for the rest of their lives on a ship. It's like, yeah, that works for the character. But you don't want to see... You may not want your character to do something extremely graphic or say something extremely graphic that goes against your personal beliefs.
Okay.
Right? I think there is a line that Chris Pratt probably won't cross.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's not going to be a brutal rape scene
Right.
for
Okay.
any of his characters.
Probably not.
I
Probably not.
guarantee if they say, here, your character is doing this, he's going to say, no, I'm not going to do that.
But don't you think a exposed butt sex scene with Jennifer Lawrence isn't already crossing a moral line for Christian standards?
Probably.
Do you think? Okay, and I personally don't think
probably.
I don't think cursing like the F word and all that is actually really crossing, because I think that's up for debate. However, if you say like GD, that's taking it
Here's
in
the
vain.
other
I
thing.
think that is crossing the line.
Number one, they're not having sex, and
Not in real life.
arguably, obviously, he's not raping anybody
Right.
in that scenario.
Yeah.
But they're not having sex, in real life.
Right.
And
He is showing his butt on camera. However, in humor scenarios, I'm okay with it.
it works for the characters.
Right.
This makes sense for these characters
Yeah.
who haven't openly professed Christianity. So I think he's probably like, yeah, this makes sense for the characters. That's probably fine versus the other scenario.
Personally, I would have, if I was Chris and I'm, being
Chris.
wanted for this role. So you can make few, but you do have the option to make a couple demands. I would say, maybe can we just go just torso? You know what I mean? Like side profile torso.
I mean, maybe,
or
but
be like, we'll play footsies. I'll do some footsie action.
I'm sure that somebody, was like, oh, Chris, there's going to be a sex scene. He's like, a sex scene? And he's like, with Jennifer Lawrence?
Okay.
All right.
I mean, yeah, honestly.
Do I get to show my butt?
Yeah. But I don't know. So personally, there are people that aren't like Chris that have chosen to take a very strict stance. I mean, look at someone like Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
He left Hollywood because he became a Christian. He's only done Christian projects since, right?
And even like in some of the Christian films that he did, he would only kiss his wife on screen.
Yeah. So there was like in Fireproof, it's a story about marriage. So at the end, they wanted to have a beautiful kissing scene.
And there's only one
But
kissing scene
he
in the whole
wasn't
film.
going to kiss the actor. So they silhouetted it, and they just doubled the female actor
With his
with
wife.
his actual wife. So the kiss happens in shadow, and you can't make out who's the person.
That's a weird argument. It's like I get it.
There's all
I get
spectrum
it.
of this.
I
you know?
understand. It's like I really don't want to kiss this other person.
Because it's not my wife.
It's like I get it. I'm acting, but also I don't want to do that.
Okay.
That's understandable. But I think this is. I don't want to sound like an idiot.
So go ahead, say it.
I think a lot of people see Christianity on a spectrum.
They do. Yes. I would 100%
Kirk
agree.
Cameron versus Chris Pratt on a bell curve.
Okay. So Christian guy who does mild sex scenes and curses a lot in his films versus Kirk
I wouldn't
Cameron
say curses
who
a
won't.
lot. Curses every now and then.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's been a few films that he's cursed quite a bit. I don't think personally
Are we
he
saying
views
like
cursing as a problem.
Are we saying like
No. Here's the thing. I said it before, I'll repeat myself. I don't think like those what we consider hard language as really that I think it's debatable to call that a sin.
yeah.
I think it's more like saying Jesus Christ or saying GD.
Yeah.
I think that's
In a
more
negative connotation.
of where
Blasphemous.
blasphemy comes
Right.
in.
Well, I
that's where the
think
problem is.
using the F-bomb there's an argument for it.
Sure.
I think there's an argument, a hard argument for it.
Mm-hmm. But it's not as clear.
It's not as clear as some of the others. Yeah,
Sure.
no, I would agree. But I think on that bell curve,
Okay.
there's
Good
not.
analogy.
I think Denzel Washington's right at the top of the bill. Because he
What's
does
at the top? I'm
he
just
does
trying to get
violent
this
and he does
analogy.
mild cursing.
No, Denzel does hard cursing.
Okay, he does hard
Yeah.
and
cursing.
hard
Yeah.
violence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen
so
Training
violence-
Day?
Have you seen The Equalizer?
I have seen The Equalizer.
Training Day.
Okay.
But it has been a
Training Day.
minute.
Training Day.
I don't think I've seen Training Day.
Training Day.
Okay, so all right. Where would you put Denzel Washington? Beyond Chris?
I would
Beyond
say
Chris.
I would say a little beyond Chris, but
Really?
not-
So the bell curve's further down the road. Chris ain't on the other end.
yeah. Also,
I don't know. I don't want to rank where people are. I don't know where they are.
I'm not
outside
saying
the screen.
I'm saying the bell curve is an imaginary thing
The
that I think
spectrum.
a lot of people. The spectrum is. I don't think there should be a spectrum,
Okay.
but I think if this is what he's pursuing as an actor, he I'm sure has his own line, and that he won't cross, and so I think it's kind of up to him.
Right.
If he can, I guess, justify how this fits within his faith, and he is a Christian.
Yeah.
That is for him to practice his faith in that
up
manner.
He's practicing his faith
In the manner he
in
sees
the manner
as
he
correct.
sees fit. Yeah.
All right, that makes sense, and I agree with you. So, looking at it from a different perspective, the Hollywood system is very anti-Christian,
Yeah.
but you have a lot of people who are Christians a part of it, and in a lot of ways, like you're saying, even people outside of it don't want Christians in Hollywood because they don't like the fact that they're being entertained by people who believe in Christ.
Yeah.
So, do you think that is going to – it's already a dilemma. It's already like a rub, right? The fact even with Chris, how people were hating on him and it took like almost every person who's acted with him in a Marvel movie to like come to his defense and be like, he's a great guy because I think they tried to cancel him or something.
They did.
And it was really messed up. I mean, it took Robert Downey Jr. and a bunch of people to defend him. However, the Hollywood system doesn't like Christians. is it even going to be possible to be a Christian and get work in the future, like we continue going down this road?
Only time can tell.
It shouldn't be an issue.
It shouldn't.
But it's Hollywood to make that decision. We're talking about a lot of executives that definitely probably do not profess faith in Christ.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Oh, it's gonna. We already see it. There's personal biases in everything that is made nowadays.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way. We should look at it in the same way that we look at, sexual identity. Nobody's like, oh, I can't. Maybe some people can't watch The Lord of the Rings because of Sir Ian McKellen's sexual identity.
Sure.
But it's, as an actor playing a character, he's doing an incredible job.
Yeah. And honestly, Sir Ian McKellen, doesn't matter that he's gay. He's a really awesome dude, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure he's really kind in person.
He's a really probably great person.
Or
he just
maybe he's not kind in person.
Maybe not.
But we know that. We
but
also
he got
that
knighted, though.
Christian Bale's like yelling at people on set.
Right.
It's like we all people talk about separating the artist from the art.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to do that a lot of time, and the problem is the people that are making a lot of the art possible, not necessarily the people that are making the art.
Right.
But the people
art
who are
possible.
making the art possible, the executives and
people with money.
the people with money are making sure that people's personal biases and identities and politics are being inserted.
Yeah.
People who are not in charge of making the movies possible. People just, doing whatever. The creatives
Okay.
that aren't
The DP.
Yeah.
right. The executives are allowing them to push whatever they want to push.
Yeah.
And
So like the directors you talking about?
I'm talking about anybody. Probably mostly writing.
So writers, producers, directors.
Writers, producers, anybody who's making stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it's more for the ideology stuff.
Right.
But that wouldn't come into play if the executives weren't allowing that to happen.
True.
And in fact, the executives are the ones who are pushing.
Yeah. They
For
do.
those
They do
things.
be pushing.
And although
And I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't enjoy it if people were pushing for entirely religious or Christianity or right-wing ideologies in movies. If the roles were flipped.
I mean,
I'm
we
sure a
have
lot of
that, and
people
it's
wouldn't
outside of
enjoy
the
that.
Hollywood system. It's called Pure Flix, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm sure, a lot of people aren't going to enjoy that.
No.
So,
But they like Netflix as a studio, and all the studios, but especially Netflix, they love pushing the acceptance of every single belief system or identity or kind of woke
the wild
narrative.
ones.
The crazy ones, and even ones that are super strict just aren't based in Christ, like Muslims and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you saying the wild ones, or is that a movie?
Not where the wild things are.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a specific movie.
No.
just the wild belief systems.
Yeah.
They're very happy
but you're
to
right.
push
Any
that.
belief system other than Christianity.
Well, they're putting a lot of Christian stuff in the films, but it's always from the negative or just these are kind of the dummies of the story. You know what I mean? These are the gullibles of the story.
Yeah.
Like just always a negative
Or the evils.
Or the evils. There's a lot of
The
Christian
baddies.
villains. I mean, there was a whole Last of Us episode where they decided to make a pedophile cannibal also a religious Christian leader.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's crazy, man. You didn't have to do that bit. That's very insulting to people who believe in Jesus because we're not cannibals
Because you
or
wouldn't do it.
pedophiles.
Because you wouldn't do it to a Muslim person.
Oh no, that would be blasphemy. They
That would-
couldn't.
yeah.
That literally wouldn't happen.
They're scared of getting blown up.
I mean, it might happen.
All right, I got to stop putting the location of our studio on these videos.
Never put the location of our
No,
studio
I
on
put
the
the
videos.
I put the city in there. I don't put
Oh,
our
okay.
address. Not our address.
Come find us.
Somewhere in the city. And so the dilemma is, I think personally,
I don't think we don't.
you made a good point.
Yeah.
he is doing what he believes is in accordance with his faith that doesn't violate it. And his standard might be different because I believe he did come to faith later in life.
Yeah.
So he wasn't raised necessarily, I don't believe, in a
Southern Baptist Church.
Exactly.
Woo!
So his lines are just going to be placed differently, you know? And it is ultimately the good thing about Christianity is that it is very personal. And so your conduct you answer to directly to God. That's what you believe. And other people aren't necessarily held accountable for your conduct.
No,
so
not for your conduct.
That means it's between you and God. You know what I mean? So,
and we mentioned Denzel a bunch.
Yeah,
and I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't, say, thoughts and prayers for Denzel.
What's going on with Denzel?
He had a stroke.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had a stroke and has been in the hospital for. I don't know if when this comes out if he'll still be in the hospital, but when I was looking at it today, they were saying he was still in the hospital.
There was
I
a
didn't
year
hear
ago
about
that
that
someone
either.
at work was doing an interview piece and they interviewed Denzel. I was able to
Yeah?
film that. Yeah.
You interviewed? I mean, you.
It was over a video call. Like they put him up on a screen, but he was talking to him, and I was
so
filming
cool.
the screen that he
It would
was
have been
talking
cool
to.
to see him in
Yeah.
person.
It would be, and he has been to the studios that I
Yeah,
work at
he was filming
in
a
person.
movie and he had a
They only
heart
do
attack or a stroke or something.
that sucks, man.